Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be speaking about if investing in silver proof sets is a good idea, or how is the value of a silver proof set? Is it a good material to be putting a lot of money into? Because I think a fair amount of people enjoy collecting them, and I wanted to sort of weigh in and give my opinion, but the video will be focused on the pros and cons of just that, so we'll get right into it after the intro. And as a heads up as well, this is not investment advice, it's just entertainment. But I just want to think through how I would go about purchasing coins. But again, not investment advice. Let's get into the video. So I think we're going to start off with a lot of the pros, and the fact of the matter is there's a fair amount of silver in each of these sets. So 85 cents face value of 90% silver is going to be found in all the ones from 1964 and back. And we're really not going to be speaking about any of the proof coins like in the really early 1900s or the 1800s. This is more for the ones that are somewhat readily available. So sort of starting in 1950 or so, but it's actually going to go mostly from maybe 56, 57 to the current, and then we'll address sort of that earlier chunk in the 1950s at the end. But I think that there are a lot of pros because, so you have that silver component, and then what it comes down to is what value are you going to be buying these sets at? Because I've seen, I've worked in a coin shop for a long time, and often the coin shop would buy them sort of just as though they were silver coins, and there wouldn't be much premium attached, which is somewhat fair because there's not a huge premium then when reselling to collectors, or there's only a small, and then after shipping and fees, the price gets put down dramatically. So you have to think, like, what are you doing with these sets? Sealed versus opened is a whole nother thing. Often the sealed will sell better. Plus, there's the major component to doing these next two things is really where you can make proof sets a viable thing to invest in, but then, or not really invest, but to put some money in. And I don't want none of this is really investment advice. It's more entertainment. This is just for education and entertainment. But the coins can have varieties on them. And that's a huge factor. If I'm thinking 1960 to 1964, every one of those years, at least one proof coin, there's some sort of variety, which is a small, it's in producing the die, there's some issue producing the dies, whether that's a double die or a, there's even some like quadruple die. There's a bunch of different stuff that happen on the proofs. Normally you could say repunch mint mark, but there's no mint marks because they're all from Philadelphia. But there's a lot of room for mistakes on these coins, and they're findable. So that's one thing a lot of people do. I think it's the 1961 half dollar, the double die reverse. That's a several $1,000 coin. One of my friends recently found one of those, so that was pretty impressive. That's a multi-$1,000 win. So if you're purchasing a bunch of these at the right money, really close to the silver value is what I would be shooting for. Then if you have the knowledge to go look for the varieties on the coins, that can be extremely lucrative, as well as understanding sort of the different strikes. So being able to grade and being able to see which coins are going to have deep cameo designations or possibly cameo designations. It sort of depends what threshold for what coin and what year you're working with. But the deep cameo coins can have astronomical increases in their selling values, and so there's some people that really have made their living sort of going through. I also think of the 1964 accented hair Kennedy proof half dollar, somewhat rare. A lot of people don't know about them, though those have had a lot more awareness recently, but there's a fair amount of opportunity that can be had, going beyond just like, here's the commodity of a 1963 proof set. All right, let's take a closer look at it, and we're going to be looking for the varieties, and we're going to be looking for deep cameo, or in some cases cameo. If it's a numbers game and you can do it with enough coins, even just getting proof 68, proof 69 grades, if you're bulk submitting, can do well over time. Now, there are a fair amount of drawbacks, though, to considering these to buy as a collector. I think First off, so covering the earlier sets, there's probably a lot of upside and a lot of downside, and probably a fair amount of downside risk, just because the newer ones you're able to get them for pretty close to silver, so there it's almost a bet on the silver, and then you can do what you want with them. You might be able to stretch the money a little bit more on the varieties and better conditioned coins. On something like a 1952 set of proofs, that's going to be a tougher item to, you're ripping somebody off if you're buying it for a silver value. There's a lot of premium associated with that, and because of the illiquid nature of a lot of the coins, especially something like a 1952 proof set, I mean, there's not that many collectors who just want the sets. There's a fair amount of risk that when you turn around to sell it, it's going to be either you're going to have to do a lot of work yourself, which if you know that going in, that's fine, or you have to get rid of it quickly, may have to take a huge loss, and there's probably less of those floating around, so they'll have been looked at much closer. And I think more of the varieties are anyways sort of in that back, or the sooner half, more near to 1964. So the varieties may not be there, though there could be some good grading potential. But when you're paying so much, you're also not running into these in the wild, so you're probably purchasing it from a dealer or from eBay or a marketplace. And so you just have to think about how much money are you paying compared to what you can sell it for the next day with confidence. And that's a big thing with the higher end of things is, the upside then might be that if you get the right grade coin, it's really good. Or if the market as a whole skyrockets, it's feasible that the really rarer proof sets would go up a fair amount relative to something that's pretty common. But again, proof sets don't feel like the sort of thing, the reason that they might have a lot of value is because they're still in that set, they're still in that packaging, and I never like investing in packaging or a label, or just sort of buying that material, because it's tougher to flip. It's tougher to have people appreciate. It's not like the coin itself is magnificent and the grade affirms that. Here, if you just cut the coins out of the packaging, there's such a big loss where it's like, I don't know, do you really want to be buying packaging? It's fine to buy silver that is packaged, you see what I'm saying? But buying coins that are more collectible because of the packaging that they're currently in is a little bit of a risky play. So that's sort of one of the big downsides. There's also the fact that, it takes a fair amount of time to look for varieties and for deep cameo or higher condition. Plus, there's a lot of newer people who sort of get into it, do it, and then whiff because they start grading coins that really aren't worth grading. I did that. I tried it a little bit and was able to be successful overall, but there were a lot of coins that I sent in that I really didn't need to have sent in. So that was a good lesson for me. There's also just coins that are a lot more rare. These sets are really not that rare, and I like to invest in sort of, or again, when I'm saying invest, like how I put my money in coins, would much rather go with a few sort of at the top of my budget coins that have really good eye appeal. They're really nice coins. People can see it and appreciate that and understand why somebody wants to collect the coin, as opposed to the packaging again. So maybe if 10 1962 proof sets for like $24 or $25 each or something, or could you get like a really nice classic commemorative $50? Like that's sort of the thing with some toning. That's the sort of thing I'm weighing in my mind. And again, a lot of the higher end coins also have the problem in terms of how fast can you sell them to the next day. But I think that the market on sort of really nice coins that people want to own just because they look great is a lot stronger than how the market would sort of lift something like a proof set, especially if there's no silver appreciation. I feel like that could be tough. How many people are really collecting like 1954 proof quarters or something like that, that are just in the plastic packaging and haven't had some crazy toning and they're graded, or they're just graded in a phenomenal example. That's what the math that I'm internally doing in my head as I approach these, as a potential, am I buying this with intent to resell it in the future, as opposed, if you love collecting these, it's probably a doable run. Not extremely expensive, though you'd have to sell it right and be willing to wait for for the right buyer to come along as you do sell them. So in summary, I think that there's definitely room. Chris Tisdale, actually, one of my friends, has done quite well doing proof sets and grading them and that sort of thing. So there's room to do well with them. But as a collector, or even as somebody who's getting into it, I think that the margins have really shrunk. There's still room, but it's pretty tough. So I would probably look to put, if I was thinking about starting one of these collections, I would probably look to go somewhere else, just in terms of buying fewer coins that are really nice as collectible coins, as opposed to as the plastic, which or the whatever those envelopes are made out of. But there's certainly the plastic on the inside. That's really how I go about thinking about it. Thanks so much, and I'll try to do a few more of these sort of opinion, me talking on a more collectible side, in the future. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated. I've also got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can follow me there. TreasuretownYT.com is the main channel website. Definitely give that a visit. I've got a lot of information about me up there and the channel. CoinGrabBag.com as well currently redirects there, but it's some good opportunities for very fair grab bags, both made by me and other sellers. A lot of different options, so that's a good way to support. There's also TreasuretownCoins.com. In the future, my coin dealing operation will be done out of that website. CoinMeltPrice.com for updates on the melt prices of your coins, both US and world. A lot of resources in that website. And then CoinsMetalsCards.com, being developed right now as a marketplace and news source for coins, metals, cards, and collectibles in general. So I'll see you on my future videos. Looking forward to seeing you there, and hope you have a good day.